Had a stylist come by today. What do you think? She says, tie the hair back. People won't be so freaked out by you. But I'd rather have my hair out, you know? The hair is who you are. The hair is part of your life. And in the old days, of course, you know, the hair is part of your status as your role in life. The Cavaliers and the Vikings, of course, they all had different haircuts, short and long. And, you know, the governor had long hair, and various men in British Columbia history had long hair and beards and so on. Anyway, so I like it when it's out, and I feel more. But she says when you're talking to authority, you know, talking to the public, she says, you know, show respect, you know. But she's right. I don't have any choice in the matter. But that's not why I started this vlog. This vlog is about what I just heard. I heard on the CBC radio about the change in Vancouver. The mayor of Vancouver, a good guy, Kennedy Stewart, good man, you know, and there's all kinds of things. Oh, he's just another white guy. Oh, BS. Anyway, he's one of the most progressive mayors the city's ever had, and he's not getting his fair due. I have interesting other comments that he said this week. But anyway, he's facing a situation now where his city has said, we have no problem with the marijuana dispensaries and the marijuana culture. And the problem has been made now by the federal government via the court and via Justin Trudeau's so-called Legalization Act. Why don't we call it the Marijuana Regulation Act? Because that's really what it is. It's a way of getting the illegal marijuana industry into the hands of corporate Canada, reducing the quality of supply, reducing the range of amazing talent of grow and cloning and grow up technology and the different varieties of edibles and other things made from cannabis that are medicinal and property and that are a huge market in the rest of the world. And here, this Marijuana Regulation Act has been solely for the purpose of tapping into the huge value of the marijuana economy, which back in, let me see, 2001, 2002 or 3 maybe, I met a certain economist, a very distinguished economist, who was in a film with me, and she and I discussed something about because who I knew and who she knew and how the scale of the marijuana business, the grow-op business, even at the time, the market value to British Columbia was $12 billion. It was larger than the forest industry and the real estate industry. So they talk about money laundering. No, that wasn't money laundering. That was British Columbians making money out of their basements. And oh, it's organized crime. No, it was mom and pop most of the time. And because they started hammering down on it, that's how organized crime got in control of it, people. That's how it happened. And how it came up out of California when Reagan sent in the napalm and the Agent Orange into Northern California. Yeah, well, those growers came to BC and they came up like the draft dodgers and they brought their talents here. And this was the world center of the North American center of pot production for a large part of the early zeros and maybe the late 90s until 9/11, right? So other things happened. That $12 billion, I said to her, what would happen if that $12 billion was cut out of the economy, if they actually cut it off? And she says, yeah, you're right. You know, and she was like a really important person that I hope to meet again, and I really think very highly of her knowledge and her care for the people here and what she believes about things. So I won't name her. Some people might guess who it is. I was grateful to work with her. She's a genius of a woman in all kinds of ways. But she immediately saw the value. The political problem here is that the money here has always been dirty. All of Vancouver, all the glitz of Vancouver in the 20s and 30s, was built on Prohibition in the United States. Right? It wasn't our own prosperity or our minerals or any of that stuff. It was we were running liquor, right? And that's what built a lot of the big banks and stuff like that downtown and built the Marine Building liquor money. You know, like, geez, you know. So anyways, when liquor was legalized in Canada and liquor was made legal in the U.S., we already had our big distillers, you know, the Bronfman families and the Seagram fortune, you know. The Bronfmans, you know, and you know, they're great philanthropists too, the Bronfmans. They've done a lot for this country. I can't say all the brewers have. Molson and so on. My mom knew Mary Molson, actually. You know, they're part of Canada, you know, and then we've got the American brands here, and each province has a different beer. The point is that the liquor industry in the States The Bronfmans were right in there from the start, right? And the liquor industry, I don't know, I guess the Trump family was probably right in there too, huh? I don't know that whole part of the story yet, is what old man Trump was doing during Prohibition. I bet you that's a curious story. I bet you that's got meat on it, you know. But this is the thing, is it's in America as a criminal enterprise. You know, the liquor, when it came in, like cigarettes, it came in, it was the big money. So in the case of marijuana, they want the same kind of control. The thing is, these are the people that tried to stop marijuana for years and demonized it. That Mulroney has money in the cannabis industry shocks and horrifies me. Not at him, but that we tolerate him even being in the industry. But never mind, you know, this is the country that let back in Conrad Black after he was jailed in the United States for ripping off widows and hiding documents on camera. This is the man who taught people in jail how to swindle the system. That's what he did, and he came back. You know, now they got let back in, even though he had a criminal record in the United States and had renounced his Canadian citizenship. Stephen Harper let him back in through whatever immigration minister it was at the time. So this is the favoritism that can happen to a conservative, right? And then Trudeau, Mr. Young Trudeau, you know, whose father also did things that people don't realize how much of an authoritarian and centralist to power and centralizer and demeanor of democracy that Pierre was, right? And set the stage for Mulroney and Chrétien and Martin and Harper, right? Harper is the ghost of Pierre Trudeau, really. The search for another leader of his stature, that there's no one could fill his shoes. But Pierre was only in it for himself. And he only came back to do the Constitution thing after his, you know, he took the second walk in snow and quit finally. But he only came back in. He only came back in because he wanted that constitutional deal that has fucked us up ever since. That was his own ego that wanted that. He'd already signed away our national bank's integrity, which we all the nations of the world had to do in 73 and 74, that the private banks said, well, you're not allowed to print private money anymore, gold's off the standard, we come this new system. I don't think it was the Rothschilds that came up with that. I'm not sure who came up with that, but that's why all the banks have, why the bank rate is so confusing now, because of the bank. The central bank is still more important, and they set the rate, but still the government has to borrow money from private lenders by selling bonds. And that's the international funding market of the currency system that's so delicate right now. And right now, the situation between Canada and China now, because thanks United States, that was really thoughtful. Here, Canada, you want to arrest this senior Chinese executive for us on trumped up charges that won't stand up in an international court because, you know, we want to cause some trouble with our major competitor, and we don't like it, Canada. The reason she's here is she doesn't want, she's here providing what Chinese do so well. They know how to provide services. And what they're doing is the 5G network in Canada. Now I have issues about 5G and 4G and all that stuff. And I'm going to get a 4G device soon myself, right? And I'm in a network right now where I'm in the field anyway, so it doesn't matter. So if you're in the field, go for it. And there's rumors that Teledisc, which as far as I know is Gates. I think it's a Microsoft project, the many satellites that will be worldwide cellular coverage. It's a network of satellites constantly moving. That Teledisc is coming on stream, but it's 5G. So the whole planet will be bathed in 5G. So you don't have a choice in whether you're going to use it or not. It's there anyway. So anyways, here you are. You have this major Chinese executive. When we say Chinese, we're talking about 1/3 of the world. Right? We're talking about one of the most successful parts of the world right now. Never mind what might be said about the crimes of their rural areas. It's not like the Americans, or the Canadians should be talking about the Uyghurs or the Tibetans too much when there's Standing Rock and there's Unistoten and there's other things that have gone on in our history like Oka, right? Here we are complaining about China, and China sees the hypocrisy and knows it, right? But China sees the long term, and China also sees the future of the world, which America does not see. America sees itself as the greatest country of the world, even though it doesn't want to know anything about anything of the rest of the world. I'll take these off. I can see my eyes. I don't know whether you can, but I know what I'm saying, but maybe this is better. But so there's Mung sitting in a Vancouver courtroom. No, she's sitting in her very, very nice Dunbar and 28th house. Very nice area, beautiful area, nice choice of town. Many, many wealthy Chinese there. I don't know how many wealthy Chinese now, but it was once a largely very Anglo-Saxon establishment, white area, you know, some international elements, college professors and so on. And Kerrisdale's nearby, and I can name all the neighborhoods of the west side, Point Grey and Upper West 10th, and it's a nice part of town. And the house is worth $5.6 billion. So it's part of she has to stay there. It's her prison right now. She can't go anywhere. If she goes to dinner, they follow her. She's had an ankle bracelet on, and I don't know whether the security is private or Chinese or who's providing, RCMP, I guess, probably. I would say her personal security right now is probably, I don't think she probably wants to leave very much. Their house got burgled while she was under arrest. Now, oh yeah, sure there's lots of burglaries on the west side, but I'm sorry, that coincidence is just one you can't not look at. So, you know, the Americans have been here for a long time, and that's why I was going to add this about the drug things in Canada. Never mind what my friend, Mr. Tory, once of the Liberal Party, perhaps no longer. Look up on the BC legislature logs for Bruce Tory, Torrie. Anyways, about him and organized crime in the federal Liberal Party. Remember what I was just saying about the Marijuana Legalization Act, the Marijuana Regulation Act, that they're bringing criminal enterprise above ground and allowing conservative wealth to buy into it is really what all this is about. But they're also limiting supply. And this gets back to what I heard on the air about Vancouver, right? That the limitation on supply. So this is the whole point of, I got lost on a little side tangent there, perhaps it will come back, but about Vancouver. It's the Supreme Court of Canada, I think it is, not British Columbia, maybe it is, has ordered that all the marijuana dispensaries in Vancouver that remain open due to the mayor's tolerance and broad-mindedness, and Vancouver's general broad-mindedness and very greenness. You know, and this is the city where the Marijuana Party was born, and the Green Party, and Greenpeace. This is a stroke, this is a strike against the green political heart of Vancouver that has tolerated illegal marijuana shops for years and smoking pot for years. And now there's all these regulations and rules. What the Regulation Act has done is creates tougher enforcement for the police, for the state, for the courts, to enforce the growing conservative monopoly of the marijuana business. And when I say conservative, that includes the Liberal Party. I don't know how many Liberal Party people are involved in the marijuana industry. I know lots of Tories are. Would Stephen Harper be? I wouldn't put it past him. I wouldn't put it past him for Trump to have shares and things up here. This is all money. Anywhere there's money, conservatives are like flies on shit. Yeah, sure, the criminals are at it, but what the criminals are is they're freelancers. You know, they're freelancers, and what that is about is taxes and excise taxes are the same as it was with Prohibition. So the way to do a legalization would have gone to all the existing growers and say, okay, you guys, you're legal now. You can sell it like carrots. Everything would have been fine, Mr. Trudeau. But no, just like electoral reform, sir, you had to have it your own way. And your own way is power. Your own way is being like your dad, focusing power on yourself. And now you got stuck, didn't you? You didn't know that Ms. Mung was going to get arrested because the U.S. had asked. I haven't caught who did it. I would imagine it was the RCMP who arrested her. CSIS, I don't think so. And I can't see Vancouver police doing it. Although I know in the case of the BC Rail raids, the legislature raids, which became the BC Rail case, and there may have been more in those boxes that were taken on Boxing Day 2003. 25 years ago, 15 years ago, time for an anniversary video on that day. What happened, what might be in those boxes. But on that whole bust that came into the basement of the legislature, that whole bust that came in there, 400 boxes, 500 boxes of material from the Public Information Bureau about who ran it and why it existed and what it was about is another story again. But of those boxes, the reason that they were raided by the Victoria Police, not by the RCMP, it's in Victoria, but because the FBI and the DEA had no luck at all in asking the RCMP to do the raid and get the warrants. And then so when the warrants were gotten by Victoria Police because of the pressure from the U.S., who wanted an investigation into, I'll tell you what in a second what they wanted an investigation into, as to who was doing what in the government and what was going on, right? That they had kind of lied to the judge about the address of where they were raiding. And the judge kind of knew. The judge said, okay, I got it. Well, this has got to be done, and they want it. Okay, fine, let's get it done. And they did. So the Victoria cop who did that, he said that it's up to the highest levels of the government, and it involved corruption and drugs. It didn't involve a corrupted bidding scandal, which is only one of a dozen things that Gordon Campbell should be in jail for influence peddling regarding. And I could get in a lot of trouble for saying this because of the brutal nature of the libel chill and the way, for example, Gordon Wilson just sued John Horgan over, 10 different things he said in the press. Libel chill is used here like a club, and sometimes they use actual clubs. So, you stick your neck out by talking about this stuff, but the point is that, what was in those boxes we don't fully know. Why they were being raided, why the FBI and the DEA wanted to raid them, or get those boxes. They wanted to know about Mr. Big on Vancouver Island, who was a Sikh guy. And as a Sikh guy, he was Dave Bazzi's uncle or something. Dave Bazzi was one of the guys in the trumped-up BC Rail red herring case. It was a red herring case. The whole thing was a red herring case. And the Bazzi work defense was, we're just part of this larger organism that's this is what they were doing. And it's like really ugly what was going on. And the whole cast of characters in the trial that was coming up included, the head of every major railway, a couple of banks, all the cabinet, including the premier, chief of staff, all of them, everybody. And God knows who else, right, was going to call. And the whole premise of the whole thing was that there was a whole enterprise of the lobbying industry was all crooked. So that trial got shut down and fast by an illegal plea deal. But then back to those boxes again. You see, they all got redacted, and we don't know what was in them. Once they got in the hands of the RCMP, a friend of the premier's got through them with a black felt pen, and where they are now, I bet they were burned or shredded or whatever. Nobody else got to see them other than Associate Chief Justice Dome. But the RCMP hadn't seized them. How they came in custody of them, I don't know, but they were gotten out of the custody of the Victoria Police. Concerning a Mr. Big, Hardiel Singh Baines, I think his name is. I'm sorry if another name is wrong. I'm sorry, I will correct that. I will bleep that if necessary. Was in Duncan. And he became the head coke guy, the Mr. Big on Vancouver Island, after a cartel-related shooting on Seymour Street in Vancouver in front of Gotham Restaurant in broad daylight. Guy got shot dead in broad daylight outside Gotham. There was another murder in L.A. at the same time, some kind of cartel thing, and the balance of power in BC fell to this guy in Duncan, who was Dave Bazzi's uncle. But, if you know who the Liberals were and that whole set of the brokers and the barristers and all that, the Vancouver business crowd, right? And the premier being a famous drunk, and everybody kind of knowing there was something else on the table than liquor at the place in Maui. And I better not name the couple. They're a famous couple, and you can get sued for even talking about it having happened. Right? That's Canada for you. It's not the free speech country that we're told it is. There's lots of hidden stuff here that's hidden. So those of us that remember all this, look at this deal, of saying, hey, look, the marijuana deal, this is just more crookedness. This is just like the election, the referendum. It was a little bit crooked from the start. But now, look, like here in Maple Ridge, I don't know, my friends, 2 dispensaries open, the bikers, the guys that started them. That's why they're still open. They don't care. Right? Maybe they'll still open. Maybe they still don't care. But this one's up the street. They're waiting on a license. And Mike Morden, the new mayor, is anti-homeless and probably anti-pot shop too. So the nearest private store remains in Kimberley. The next nearest government store, the only one, is in Kamloops. You have to mail order. You have to mail order, pay a lot of money for a little piece of really crappy pot. Whereas, I could, before the bullshit of the Regulation Act, right? Let's take money from this market and give it to the conservative money that wants to control it. And we don't know nothing about the marijuana industry or how to grow pot. We just want to control it. That's what's happened, right? So it was a great little store up street, Green Era, nice staff, all kinds of great stuff. And I saw places in Vancouver. So the places in Vancouver now, the Supreme Court now has ordered that all the 20 marijuana dispensaries still open that are legal on license, they have to shut or face severe penalties as of today. So what used to be a gray area, as CBC said, is now a black and white area. And the hammer has come down on Vancouver and its freewheeling ways from the conservative, capital L, liberal establishment that controls the RCMP, their dogs, and the courts, also part of their dogs, the use of the courts as the club of authoritarian rule in Canada by single person government. We're not talking single party government, we're talking single person government, and which also has a cult of personality. And he's really not all that cute, folks, and he's really the same age as Harper, okay? He's no younger than Harper, not by much anyway, if any, right? And I said to my Green Party friend the other night, we need people from this country, leaders, to rise from the 21s and 24s, because these guys, they see what's coming, they get it, they know what's coming, they know what all this talk about carbon emissions and bank rates and keeping do this interview with that industry. Well, it's going to take a while to convert. Oh no, folks, we got more impurity things to do with. So they see this coming. So this concerns also the election reform. But the Marijuana Legalization Act is a travesty. It's a travesty. It's a travesty. It's like something from the 1950s. That, okay, we'll legalize it, but we want to have a lockdown on it. And now we've got municipal prohibitions. Is the effective is given municipalities the control over prohibition. It's only driven up the street price. It hasn't reduced supply, believe me. It hasn't reduced supply at all. As they did whenever they arrested anybody in the old days. They had a bust, when BC's big days, the $12 billion a year in revenue days for the province, right? When they had busts at the border or around town. They'd bust a couple of pounds, and that pounds is not even a dent in the daily supply, but there still was a reason to raise the rates. Anytime there was a news of a bust, it was good for the business. It was good for the underground. I know, because I know who I knew, right? And I know that everybody knows who I knew, some people, right? So that's fine. That's fine. Everybody has a past in this province, and a lot of people that have a past in this province have never been charged for it. And there never will be, because they're the people in charge of being charged. And that's the story with the Marijuana Act, folk. And Mayor Larry Campbell, one of the great Campbell that we've had as a mayor, Mayor Larry Campbell, former city coroner on whom Da Vinci's inquest was modeled. He, and I think even Sam Sullivan, and other conservative mayors, and other major mayors, and national chiefs of police, and others, and others around the continent, city police, and so on, are completely in favor of complete legalization of everything. That Bolivia now is under pressure to stop growing coca, and so they're trying to get people to get cattle and agriculture. But this is agribusiness. This is telling coca to shut down, which is kind of healthy. They need it down there at that altitude. No, we don't want you on that anymore. And because we won't let legal supply where we want you to shut it down, and we want you to do agribusiness. And cattle and agribusiness for farming are two of the major global warming causing things in the world, and coca farming is not. So, marijuana legalization, we're not quite there yet. So we need, I don't know, the Green Party will do it. I think it sounds like we have, this week, it sounds like it's the Green Party government coming. The NDP were going to drag it out, and the Green Party will come under a lot of pressure from outside. And there will be trouble made for them, right? But the marijuana liberalization in BC now becomes a major issue, because the way Horgan has done it is he's left it to the municipalities. And the municipalities are run by small c conservatives, like Mayor Morden apparently here. Even though he's like an entrepreneur, younger guy, a younger group of people support him. But these are a conservative element, the municipal mayors. Everywhere, other than certain small towns, right? And the issue of marijuana licensing at the municipal level as city permits is an unfortunate other layer of prohibition. It continues to be prohibition. It will continue to cause problems until it's just normalized. So marijuana normalization, the Marijuana Normalization Act I propose, to my green friends and anybody who wants to work on it. I should look up Blair, Longley, and see how he's doing. Mayor Blair, Leonard Blair at SFU. Long story about Blair Longley, Longley. Look him up on Wikipedia. And I have to laugh about Wikipedia. I can't help it. I knew at the time, and some people said, one day, Mike, they're going to have an article about you on Wikipedia after booting me out and calling me crazy. And that's fine. I am crazy. That's crazy because I know how fucking crazy the world is. Yeah, and so people go like, look at his missing teeth. He's got funny hair. He's old, he has no money. Yeah, but you know what? I'm old and I have no money because I know too damn much and nobody wants somebody like me around. So the nice thing about the internet is I get to leave my testimonials to history. So this is a testimonial to history about what a bunch of garbage the pretty boy prime minister that we have is, about the marijuana legalization thing. Justin, you're a travesty, buddy, okay? You're cute, okay, you're cute. I'd like to see you in the gym a bit more, all right? Scrawny fuck, right? But you got to deliver more to the young people of Canada. I don't know you don't care, or you can't care because of who you have to serve, because who got you into power, I know the details. That's the thing about Skookum1. Skookum1 knows details. He's not just ranting. He's ranting because he knows the details. And what I know is that who got you into power, sir, right? It doesn't let you think for yourself and let you act for yourself. Nice job getting you in there, and yeah, you're your dad's kid. And I think I probably know more about your dad's politics than you do, buddy. And I know about your grandpa a bit. You got the glad hand. You're charismatic. No doubt, if I met you, we'd have fun and talk. But you'd probably make me feel good and then go away and betray everything you'd been telling me. You're a liberal, my son, and liberal in BC. Liberal was the term that was used by Amor de Cosmos and Robson and the other bootleggers that came up from California, the British Canadian carpetbaggers that came up from California for the 1850 old gold rush and turfed the governor with his multicultural, multiracial state that he had, colony that he'd started here. And anyway, that's a whole long story. I'm really grateful to be in touch with Dan Marshall of UVic about that, and I've got to get in touch with Don Hauke. Maybe I should go live in the canyon. I don't know. I had some good conversations about housing and other things today, so things are going to break in the new year for me. So we'll see where I am. But I'm really needing to keep commenting on the things I hear on the media, and the media here is presenting this brutal legal measure by the British Columbia, the Canadian Supreme Court, whoever did this, about the ongoing operations of the marijuana industry, thriving in Vancouver, of great diversity, and employing a great number of people who know what they're doing and know their clients, and stop calling them patients. It's not just, it's therapeutic, but it's also for creativity. Marijuana has many purposes in this world. If you're going to smoke a joint, you don't want to have some asshole saying, oh, did you get that from the government store? Is that illegal? They don't do that. But, that's the reality of it, is it remains illegal, effectively illegal, despite the so-called legalization for political purposes. It's like John Horgan's promise to hold a referendum when he would have just as gladly lose it. Apparently, the word I have in that is that the NDP had a plan for, okay, well, if FPTP wins, then we have an election in the spring and try and wipe out the Green Party. No, I don't think it worked this time. I don't think it worked. I talked to many people who said they're going to vote Green. I think it would have been a Green minority. And I don't know what happened to the NDP. And I don't know, Liberals, I don't know. You guys are toast, man. I think, that if this is, then you're breaking up. Then we've got our young Tory friend there. It looks like an interesting guy. He might even be a Green Tory. I'd like to have a chat with the kid, And there's good things for the Tories if they listen to guys like me. I know a lot of science they could learn from and economic ideas, things other countries have done that we could do here quite easily, right? To make our own independent path in the world is what I would like to see British Columbia do. But my Yugo friends say, Mike, remember, you're not going to work. Just go live in the wilderness and do whatever. Go where you need to and do your creations. I'm studying the light and studying this room for more lighting. I'll be vlogging here more, I guess, before I go. It's a good spot. I've got my own studio, I realize now. So it'd be helpful to have one of those Sling Studio things, and I can do this live. So good night. I guess I'll call this a Skookum1 vlog. This will be call it 54, and I'll renumber those last two, maybe 55. So I'm going to establish a new channel. I'm not sure what yet. Good night.